My name is Luke Delaney. I'm a retired major from the Marine Corps. I'm working at NASA Langley as a research pilot, and I'm now an astronaut candidate. I'm from DeBary, Florida, which is a small town in the kind of central Florida region. Growing up there in the 90s was kind of a really small and isolated down there. So it's grown so much. When I go back down there, it's almost hard to recognize. But I think gave me a lot of time for outdoors and doing things in the woods and just exploring different areas. I'm a big outdoors person, and I think we lived on a lake and had an opportunity to kind of enjoy those aspects. I just recently retired and was working on research projects for airborne science over at NASA Langley. So we've been busy flying and executing different missions for atmospheric data collection. You know, I think a NASA astronaut embodies a ton of different qualities, and somebody who can manage uncertainty, somebody who's adaptable, ready to go places where nobody's been before. So I think it's kind of hard to quantify what a NASA astronaut really is. It's so diverse, and there's so many ways to meet that criteria, but it's just one of those intangible things to me in terms of what a NASA astronaut is. That's a good question. I think I wanted to be an astronaut when, growing up in Central Florida, got to see some launches, got some exposure to that. I think it was it was kind of a big effort or big endeavor at the schools and the elementary school, and you got a lot of exposure to those kind of things. And to me, science and technology and math, all those were areas of interest. So it just made sense. And the challenging part was just finding a way, to navigate that path. And the military was the option I chose, and it's been quite a journey. It was different than I expected. The selection process, I kind of anticipated a more rigid environment potentially, but I thought the exchanges, the environment that was set up was really great for interaction, and they're looking to find the right person for the job, and at the same time, you're looking to make sure that job fits you. So going through that and doing the different evaluations and the different conversations, it was almost like adult space camp in a lot of ways. It was really exciting and just great to have exposure to kind of a lot of the facilities and training events that might be coming up in the next few months here. So the phone call for me might be a little bit anticlimactic. It was in between meetings in a telework environment, working over there at Langley, and I kind of was expecting a phone call at some point that week, but honestly, I was expecting a phone call saying I wasn't selected. I'd met so many people with impressive resumes and backgrounds, and just kind of inspiring just talking to those folks going through the process. But so I had my ready to thank people for the opportunity and all these things, and it really caught me off guard. So I think I skipped right through the excitement piece and right into questions and, oh, what's next? What's the next? What should we expect? And honestly, I asked if I could get back to them, which is probably not the normal response they hear. My wife wasn't home at the time, and I wanted to share that with her and make sure. It's a long process. There's several months of interviewing and things like that. So life is happening and things are changing. So I really wanted to make sure this was the best choice for us at this time. And so maybe that was a little bit unexpected for both sides, for both me, because I wasn't expecting the selection, to be honest, and then for the folks on the other end of the phone not getting an immediate response, or maybe as an excited response as they get from other applicants. I think a lot of uncertainty in technology and where things are headed and how fast the space exploration aspect is really ramped up. So when I'm thinking about what motivates and inspires, is just looking at all the different tracks that are out there right now for commercial exploration and just where things are headed. It's unbelievable, and we're really ramping up from my perspective in terms of a lot of different efforts. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I think from going a ways back here, trying to talk about different high school activities and teachers. There was one teacher from Delaney High School, Miss Ebert, and she had a way of just bringing math, bringing it from a different perspective and motivating students. And I think that really was something I just picked up on, and her excitement and love for that was something I was really enjoying the classes, and yeah, that's when I think back, that was really almost a turning point for. I always did well in school, but just having that kind of a mentor at that point for the different math and science applications, that was amazing. I think a little bit of everything. From when you look at what it lies ahead for training on the astronaut, on the candidate side, it's I don't I live outside of my comfort zone. It seems more often than not. So, and this is definitely one of those cases again. We're going to be doing training in different environments that I'm not familiar with. So, I come from the aviation background and quite extensively, but when it comes to these other things, language training, geology, and things like that, this is really exciting to me because it's something I haven't experienced, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm big into the outdoors, so I think I'm more of a nature enthusiast, and it's kind of how my wife and daughters, we've always been into doing things, and until they got a little older, I guess, and they've moved a little bit away from being outdoors so much. But I like hiking, different trails. We like animals, so just I live on a little 4-acre kind of farmhouse in a really rural environment, so. And we've been working on that for the last year or so, renovating it and doing all these activities. So I'm a hands-on kind of approach to a lot of things, and I enjoy all the outdoor activities. I feel almost in the last decade or so, things have kind of really been picking up on the space front. So the exciting aspects, I mean, we're looking at some potential deep space exploration, so going places that really humans haven't been yet. And there's a lot of uncertainty, I think, and some inherent risk, but it's so exciting to think about what could be next and what lies ahead for humanity, really. So those aspects excite me, and I'm really looking forward to any moon missions or deep space activities. I think it has to be. Mars is so far out, and it's just hard to grasp going somewhere that far out this soon, relatively speaking, this soon, to where we're at is crazy. And I think for me, the moon is a little bit more realistic, especially in my timeline. So that is probably the ideal destination. So that's a lot of information there. When we're looking at, so coming from the airborne science over at NASA Langley, we've been working on all kinds of different projects, from aviation safety considerations, traffic management, but really a lot of atmospheric science. And I think trying to understand better the complexities of this planet and how things are changing, and how to best handle future catastrophes, really. I think a lot of the data collection that we're looking at is mapping out different avenues for our planet, and that's that's awesome. That's great to kind of be at the forefront of that, and some of the interesting aspects is over at Langley, we'll take an aircraft, modify it within a few months or less for different instrumentation, and that can be on the outside or inside of the aircraft, and we'll take that aircraft and then go out over oceans or island destinations, pretty much anywhere really, and get the information that the scientists are looking for to make their analysis and make their reports. And that's just a really fun environment to be in. I think the second part of that question was the space side and what kind of excites me there relative to the Earth science mission. And they're definitely connected, right? There's different things we look at on our planet that we're going to be looking for in space and other locations. And I think for me, I don't do a lot of it now at Langley, but the geology aspect and looking at the different construct and compositions on the moon and Mars and other locations, to me that's exciting just to see what's out there. Those are on the Earth science side, you really don't do a lot of that from an airborne science perspective anyway. Yeah, I don't know if it's least extraordinary, but we do love animals, and we've got rescue dogs that we kind of have acquired over the years, a beagle, foxhound, and so I think just maybe the normal routines of everyday life and managing pets. We got chickens, which is new for me, but I wouldn't call that extraordinary, but it's definitely an interesting endeavor if you're ever looking at the kind of a backyard chicken event or a small hobby farm with chickens. I think it's really entertaining and exciting to kind of move into that kind of hobby farm environment. It's really an interesting event, but least extraordinary, I really don't know. That's a tough one. I think what I've learned over the years is people learn different ways for study purposes and trying to master material. For me, I spend a little more time framing the problem and framing the work, looking at background information, and maybe not just immediately jumping into the research or the answers for that specific issue. And if there's time permitting and you have a problem that's something you can investigate, I recommend just framing that a little bit more, maybe even from your perspective. There's multiple perspectives usually on a problem, and just taking it and looking at yours and other perspectives, I think really help to answer and find good solutions. My dad probably is one of the bigger ones there. He was always for science and technology, always there for science projects, and would come up with some great, when I was stuck or not able to come up with maybe some material that was interesting for me, he was always there to kind of find that and do different exercises or research events to develop science projects that were meaningful. And that played a huge role, I think, in piquing my interest and going down that science technology road. This is probably a weird answer for, maybe not, but for challenges in the school frame, if you're looking at high school, it's a weird time, I think, for folks to identify and understand what they want to do. So that is, I think I struggled with that quite a bit, trying to understand where I wanted to go. I have a family with a military background, and I think that was always something that I was interested in as well. So I kind of took it step by step to help define myself and where I belonged. So if that's a struggle, I think you don't need a conclusive answer at that point in your life. I think you pursue what you're interested in and build on that, and that's kind of what I did.